Hello everybody, it's Ginger here and welcome back to another pastel painting, and you will notice that I have another one of my big sheets, hand textured papers up on the board. If you've seen the video, I will link the video up here of how I created this surface, and I have my tablet to the side. This is the view that we're doing, which is a kind of side-on view from the top-down kind of view that I did of the Falls of Dochart at Killin. I've got several different videos of this, so I will run the video right here so that you guys can see it. Right, so you guys have seen this process often enough, but I always like talking through it, mostly not because I like the sound of my own voice. I've got a really bad throat at the moment, so I'm really struggling with that. So it's just more to kind of keep in mind the process that's going through my head. And as usual, I always like to start with my charcoals, usually the XL blocks. I can't decide whether or not I want to start with the red brown, my sepia block, or whether I want to go sanguine, more green. I think probably not the green, or whether I just go back in with my favourite, which is the Mars Violet. And I think we'll probably stick to methodology. This one unfortunately dropped, so you can see there there's a large chunk taken out of it. I don't think that's going to affect it. It's going to be fun. I've also got my trusty splatter brush, pot of water and the spray. Remember that I usually do these sorts of paintings over the course of a couple of days, just because I have to keep letting it dry. Despite this being a dry medium, I am using wet with it. So let us get started on this. No, I don't want to do that. I really like this view. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But I might want to, it's a question of whether or not I want to kind of bring this down a wee bit. And actually, I kind of like the fact I've got the hill in the background. So up here, right in this top corner, we've got these trees that come down. See where they go. To about there, I reckon. So that's all those trees. You can see the charcoal kind of pilling up on the different thing. Now, is that out far enough? I think it is. I don't want it too far. We've got the smaller tree line here at the back, and then we've got the bigger tree line here, which is actually comes forward. Is it forward? Yeah, it comes forward at that one to there. But it's actually slightly further back. Not much, but enough. And that comes to there. We've got some really big trees here. Another one here. And another one beside it. And that's because this does kind of come out to here. We've then got, from here, we've got foliage here as this comes down. And then we hit the rocks. And with the first one, is actually, we've got a corner of the bridge there, so I'm going to try and ignore that. We've got the gorgeous line that we did in the first one, along there and round, and then there. So that's the first bit there, like that. And yeah, this probably won't make much sense for the minute. I'm not worried about that. Got a rock there, and then we've got a section there, and we've got a section of dark there. It comes down. This also comes this way. Most of this is covered in water, so I've got to be very careful about where that's going. Just tap it. Nice part using a bigger board. Right, and then we've got these rocks here, just slightly up a bit, towards the end of that. So more like there. And we've got lines like that. That goes off to there. It's a really heavy line there from that, and then that goes that way. And up and down curves there. And the important thing is these lines going this way, all these rocks. These gorgeous kind of vertical lines going that way. It's actually a big kind of rocky bit here. One there, another one there. And then, where are we? We're down here. That line there. And what we want to do is we want to bring the eye line that way. So I'm going to widen this, curve it round slightly more, so that what we've got is that opening up. That then goes that way. Line there. Actually curves around to this bit here and down. We've got another shelf, kind of there-ish. And with that, we've got a bit like that. Line like that. This one comes down to there, and there's another line that way. There's lots of lines. There's also this weird, from here, there's like a diagonal cutting line there. Right, just bounce all that dust off, pop this down, and you know what comes next, you guys, because you're fairly familiar with this yourselves, with how I work and how I love my water. So at the moment, that's looking kind of rough, but you can kind of see, probably in fact you can see it better in the camera than I can actually standing in front of it, the kind of direction of the river and where it goes off into the distance. So I was in two minds. I could pick the board up and put on the floor. This is a huge board and really heavy, so it's not ideal. So I know that by doing this, this is going to run more down than I would like, rather than me lying it down and letting the water pool, which is a shame. Tree line. I haven't done the mountain in the background yet. I need to keep that out because I need that really pale. So there's no point me going into that at all. Get it all following the line. So you see how it's following this line and this line and this line, how it's now following the texture of the paper as it runs down. So cool. Love that. Wiping water off the bottom and where the river is, because that I need to keep relatively, we know the water goes that way, and we know the water's coming down here. I don't want to completely take these out, but there's a lot more going on yet, so it's not going to matter because there will be more. How are we looking? That's fun. Right, while it's drying, I can add some more of this in. Specifically, this needs to be so much darker. There. It kind of comes out a little bit more here, but otherwise it is very much like that. And we're just going to add some lines in, like that. some of that lightly, and it's still damp, so I'm going to be adding more water anyway. But that just shores up that kind of the darker section there. And then along here, actually it's here it kind of gets a little bit darker, so you've got a little blob there, and then here you've got like a triangle shape. And along, and then to here before it gets taken over by this section here. And then we've got this bit here in the middle between the two trees. And this has got to come fairly far down to here. This one's a kind of weird round shape for some reason, so we'll just put that in. Dark section there, and then here we've got like a dark section there, and we've got one kind of here, and again here where it kind of comes down. Got bits up, bits down, and then it gets really dark here. Oh, this bushes, right. And of course, these are our darker sections here for the water and the rocks. I can ignore that mostly for the time being. Why can I hear ladders? I have no idea, but I can hear ladders. How's that looking? Just blend some light in. It helps when you're blending in because then it doesn't kind of go so far when you need to actually do something with it. Suppose those trees there. Like that. Yep. This bit. How are we looking? Apart from the fact I now have very black fingers. Better. Let's add some water. I'm keeping it at a distance so that limiting how much water's actually going on. I can't see how much water's even on there. How much water's on there? Oh, some is slightly shifting. See it there? There you go, there's one. And you see it there. So it is moving very slowly. And that's more like what I want, a bit more control. Sometimes it just takes a minute and you've got to have patience to kind of wait for stuff to move like this. Sometimes it's very hard to follow, like this one here. And see, there, watch. See it creeping down very slowly. And this one slowly creeping down here. where it's followed that line. Right, so you know how this goes. I am gonna do a little bit more work. I was gonna stop, but actually I don't want to. And the reason I don't want to is because I'm not happy with the darks down here. I feel like this needs a lot more. Right, let's work this in a bit more. I love when it hits a wet bit because suddenly it goes all out and it spreads everywhere, but really thickly. That's all those lines there. There is actually a line there. All these are just curls, kind of goes along. Like that. And then we've got this big section here. And then where that goes that way. Up and lines like that. Like that. Just kind of cuts in, back out, down. And then lots of black there. Like that. That's a bit better. Now we'll now I knew that ran because I can see it. These not quite. Oh, actually, yes, it is. When I can do my finger and it comes away like that, it's definitely running down the page. I love the fact it's following all these lines. And these lines, a lot of these lines I was carving in, I knew the rocks were coming that way. So I wanted the lines to go kind of offset, because there are some weird cutting lines that are coming through the rocks going that way. So it's really interesting to kind of see that come out. That's better. In some respects, I always kind of look at this and go, it looks so dirty, but at the same time, you can see the shapes. You can see, for example, here is the river going that way, and you can see it going up, and it spreads out that way, and as it goes into the distance. What you can see is there's a dark piece here, this bit here, which we're just going to play with our fingers. So there's water here, but this all comes this way, and then it comes out again where it hits this shape here. But it does kind of go that way, right? Just using my finger to pull these out. That's a bit better. I feel like I was missing a little bit there. This dark section, I'll just play with this. The same here, that goes that way. And it comes down and along there, and then this comes that way. Right, now I'm going to go let that dry, and then we will come back to it where we will add some other incidental colours and start picking out some of our more rock shapes and getting our kind of sky in the background. We've got all this gorgeous texture that you can see here and all here for our sky, so that's going to look really good when we put our sky and mountain in. So I will leave it here, and you will join me once all this is dry. That'll either probably be later today or tomorrow, but I'll see you soon. Right, we are back. This is another day, and we're now going to start just gently adding in a little bit of colour and then we'll be washing it out. So I'm going to start with my pine green charcoal, just because there is a mountain here that kind of comes along, kind of like that, and goes off that way, and you can actually see it here, like that. So this is a blue-green, so I'm just going to put a little bit of it in. Because it will be quite pale because it's a bit further in the distance. Not really any of it between those trees, but there's a little bit of it there. And if you hear bagpipes, don't worry. So that's the mountain there. Oh, and a screaming child. So I'm going to use my fingers and rub some of this in before I add water. Just because I don't want to lose too much of it. Well, I do, because I want it paler. But I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right into the grains. Because once I add water, because charcoal tends to be larger particles, it will be picked up by the water and moved further around. I don't want it to move too far, so to help stop that happening, blending it in slightly works really well. So there is the mountain. And now I'm just going to add some of our sanguine in to pick up these trees. So this is more of a brown green, and it will form a really nice base for things like our tree line. You know, I want to make sure that we're moving this tree line up, because it's really, yeah, it's really a bit further up there. It does kind of come out and back in and then to there. And then this is the trees here. So this is where the water line starts there. I'll just add some of this in too. Yeah. So we're just going to add this into wherever there's trees. See, almost immediately it's a completely different colour. Well, you can see there is colour there, in other words. This comes down to there. I'm going to ignore the fact there's a building in this corner. We're just going to ignore that. This comes right the way down. And then we've got the plants here. And yeah, we'll do a little bit of blending with this. Just because I don't want too much of the green running into where the water is. So I will grab my cloth so that when I spray it, it's not going too far. Also trying to keep this kind of movement settled and in multi-directions, because that's the way plants work. They're not all just going up and down or side to side. The reason I want to get the trees in first is because when I start working on the sky, that will run, and I don't want too much of it affecting the grass, the plants and stuff. But if the plants have got a good base now, then that will show through no matter what I do. So this kind of comes round the side, and I didn't notice it before, but from this angle compared to the angle from the other painting, this has got a lot more rounded edges. That actually is making it really difficult to follow. We've got this section here, so that big bad boy here. here. There's like a little triangle there. Comes down like that. And then next to it, you've got this rock and a line, which then comes down and joins that, going that way. And then further down, this comes down and goes along this way. Just like that. And then down here, you've got this square, kind of rock shape there. And you've got a little bit of water actually, some of the water's coming this way. So this then goes that way before kind of coming into this, sitting there, and then that has got this line going that way. Kind of curves a bit more, but that's fine. And we also, from that goes this way, but there's a cut into it that then goes that way and up there like that, going back that way. Yeah, this kind of comes down to here and it thins out before forming this weird curved shape here that kind of cuts through all the stone. That kind of comes that way and then that way. It really is about just remembering that these are all, it's all about these lines. So you've got a section there, does that. These are all the lumpy bits here. Section that goes kind of up and over, down. And there's a line there, like that. And this will do here. It comes up and over. And we've got a darker section there, like that. Right. Nice, quite a bit. There's also a tiny bit of stone here. There's a mark there. Another little bit here. And one there. Right. Again, our favourite medium, water. As we start to get these, and you can start to see the shape of the rocks coming through now. All these lines kind of cutting in different directions. So we will add this to get our little brown sections moving. You can see where it's picking up the larger chunks of the pigment and is pulling it down, and it's following this line and going that way. Remember, the important bit is that we're just pulling from where we've got perfect. Right, so that I do want running, and we will need to leave that to dry before I can do anything else. How are we doing on time? 10:55. Okay, people, we are back. Same day, haven't gone anywhere. Just had to take a break for Pipers, as you've seen. And we are now back here. Just going to reinstigate. My poor tablet's gone to sleep. It's been bored waiting for me. I also need to charge it accordingly. Right. So, what am I looking for here? It's always really difficult because I want to try and keep this as pale as possible, which is fine. Whilst then being able to bring down here forward, and there's quite a lot of dark here. I haven't got quite the angle yet, and I need to bring some of this angle. Some of it, the bottom section comes down that way and the top section comes that way. So let us get ourselves a nice colour that we can play with to do that with. Got a couple of my, that's a blue-grey, which I don't want just yet. I could do something with the water for the minute. This is the Derwent Hard Pastel. It's a very bright orange though. That's kind of not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is, there was a gold, there it is. There's a gold in here. This water, because it's an iron lace, it does have all this gold colour in. And it's going to be nice to kind of just bring some of that in as it comes up to here. There's quite a few kind of patches of it here. And it does seem to just run in a line down. It kind of covers some of this darker section. Remember I said this looked like it was under the water? Well, I think it is under the water there. I think a wasp has just committed suicide against the window. It just went ping off the window. Now where we've got this triangle, we have got the water coming over the top of it just slightly to there. So that's where we said we were getting to start working on where that water flow actually is. And there's the same here where we've got this section. We've got a section of water here, like that. We also said we've got this section of water that comes down here, around this section here. So we're just going to put that in there. And we've got all this water here, just kind of, it's more curved as it comes down off this shelf here. And then we've got little sections here where it's a bit rocky. I need to put some darker sections in up here, I think. And that's fine. A bit there. There's some here where it comes, oh, not there. Not there at all. There. That's where we want it. I was thinking that. That's fine. I've got some of that in the rock. We can blend that out later. A little bit there. A little bit there. Going in a line. Maybe this is the point where things start changing direction. So rather than coming down like that, which is what all this is doing, it's suddenly going out that way. And obviously we know we've got some here where that water line is, and the same on this side. We've got some here. Again, it's lines. This line here is rock, so we've just got to make sure we're keeping above that where we've got that. There'll be less of this yellow, orangey yellow going up, but for the meantime, it's important to kind of get it in there. Just thinking how much down I want to go. This is the slightly more browner version just there. I just want some of that in there. This I will be putting into the rocks in a second, but I want to get it into the water first. Here, around there, and down there, in the section there. Right, I think I need to wash that out because that will help spread. But it's nice to see a bit more colour on the painting now. Oh yeah, we wanted to really pull this down, didn't we? In this direction. We can do that now doing that, see? Almost instantly you change the direction of rock just by the direction you're pulling the pastel. Same with this one. Pull that down. That one goes down like that. And these all form little pieces here. Like a light corner on that one. This one. I'm actually doing a lot more going that way. Got a little white section on that there and that there. And these, yeah, fairly big, so plenty of pink. Now, this section here, this kind of comes in amongst all of this foliage and comes down. You have the point there, and then along, it disappears under the foliage. And then this brings it back, cutting that way. Well, kind of both does both actually. Like that. And this has a little bit in where you can see it. And that kind of comes down like that. And that also comes down like that. Well, it's looking more colourful, if somewhat slightly weird. And do I want to spray or do I want to... I could spray. I do want to spray. The reason being is I want this to keep blending out. I'm not at the point where I'm putting like final layers down to capture texture, things like the texture here and here, which I know as soon as I put white over, you'll see so much of that. So I'm going to wet where I want it. And then I'm going to grab the splatter brush and then go over the top. And that should just send it running in a bit more of an unusual way. I don't want it as... The problem with the splatter brush is it really holds a lot of water. See? But I've got less directional on this than, say, for example, when I had the spray, I could go focus where I wanted the spray to go, and that helps direct the water. This, however, no. I kid you not, I am literally just dotting it. Some of it's picking up, some of it's not. I can see by what's dripping onto the floor that it is. So that's enough for that, I think. I don't want it too messy. But now there's a fair bit of saturation across the board. So now is the point where I'm like, yeah, okay. We don't need to do anything more until this is fully dried. So we're going to stop that there and we will catch up with you really soon. Right, this is all dry. And as you can see, we've got a lot of really interesting colour down, just kind of mapping out where things are. So this is where we start to tidy. And I like to start bringing in some of my more favourite colours. Some of them I can't even remember what they are. So this is one of my greys. Just a tablet there. And we know we've got our rock shelves here. It's not very, what am I going to say? They're not very grey. They've got lots of different hues to them. So I want to be really careful about putting too much of this green grey down. I also want to get some into the water. There's little bits of it here. It's specifically, and another bit there that I want to get in. And also where it comes off this rock shelf here, there's like a little bit here, a bit here. No, that kind of looks like it's wrong now. Here. There. Again, another bit's there. Another bit there. But remember the water's coming down here, so we've got another bits here where this dark section is. And also round here where it's coming off there. I think, if I'm right, I do want to get some in here because this is where that rock is, and then return to actually putting some of this on the rock itself as we go that way. Section there, section there. I absolutely love this colour. It's a grey, but it's got a lot of blue in it, a kind of greeny blue, so it's almost like a neutral turquoise. It makes such a great colour for rocks because it gives that little bit of green hint without having to really think about where we're putting stuff. And it just, when you're working with rock formations like this and you're thinking, right, I want to get some other colours in that isn't just, you know, isn't just grey. It gives you the ability to be able to get some really nice colours in. So that's the rock there. We know that we've got some there, 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 and a little bit there underneath that. Han! Honestly. Back to this. Right. So I'm just looking for where I'm creating these accents with this blue-green. Because that's all in shadow. There is some rock face here as it comes that way. So I do want to make sure I'm getting that there. And this does kind of come out here like that. But it's really difficult to see. And then it's got all this piece here, which then almost goes in the opposite direction. That looking a bit better? Apologies, I've got a cough, sweetie, and my throat's killing me. Right. That's a little better. Question is, do I want to? No, I do. I'm going to add some of my favourite blues into the water. So this is the violet blue. You'll see almost straight away. And this is the thing, is we want where the water's kind of curving around here. We've got this bit here and it kind of divides over the top of it going down. We've got obviously this line here where there's a rock outcropping. Some of this comes over that, but there's quite a bit of it making this beautiful kind of circular basin here, which you can kind of see this rock in, but you can't really do much about it. I'm just making sure I'm going in the right direction. Sideways for up here, as we discussed earlier, we're going in the direction of the water. And the same here. Same here. Of course, because I'm just straightening this over, it's just picking up all that beautiful texture. But this isn't the colour we're going to be using to look at texture. The whites are what we're using to pick up that texture. So let us apply some water and start getting this water and shape down. Do you wonder? I've got a smaller spray bottle, I'm going to go get it. I can't see. I could just pour it. Let's pour it from the cup. It's going to get very messy very quickly. Right. I have now got water in a little spray bottle. It is going to smell like catnip, so hopefully my cats are not going to come and play with this. So it's just a little spray bottle. It's tiny, but it's a very fine mist. Okay. So I've got a bit more control of kind of what I'm doing and where. So you see there's just enough water there to make that start to run. See it? And just, yeah, that one was a little bit more. Try to be careful with that because obviously I don't want too much of the blue escaping into the rocks. I mean, it's great because it means, you know, we'll get some of that hints of blue into the rocks. Should be good, but I don't want too much. Right, while that's pondering the meaning of life, we will also look at our sky. And I have the tiniest piece of blue pastel, which is this bit. I might have to go and get another bit of it out because that's all I've got left, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do is literally just put the whole sky this colour. And the reason for that is because I can then work over the top of that with the white, picking up a lot of this gorgeous texture, which will then help me define kind of some basic clouds. It was a very hot day, there wasn't a lot of clouds in the sky, so it was very much a blue colour, but there were some clouds kind of coming and going, and it did spit on us when we first arrived and then stopped. So, and this is the top section. I've got a lot more brush, kind of really vivid brush marks in this section, and you can see that here. So I'm going to rub this in with my fingers before anything else. So let's bring you in so you can see a bit more of this. Meow. I'll point you up a wee bit. So there's the sky. And you can see the texture here, where we've got the really sharp brush marks here. So I'm just going to use my fingers and just rub this in. I will be giving it some water, but obviously I don't want it wandering too far into my trees and mountain. It will help because obviously I want to push all this, I keep pushing all this back. So to do that, it helps to have all this kind of layer over the top of each other. Right. That's sky. Can I move you back just a little bit maybe so you can see it all? I don't know. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. You can also see a lot more of the texture going on here. Right, where's my spray bottle? Now we're going to give this some water, not much, but just enough that some of it will run like here, realistically, I'd rather it was running into the background mountain, because that will be one of the lightest things that we're going to have. But, you know, I'm happy for it to be whatever it wants to be. So you can see it all running here, all here. There's a bit here that's now chasing down, and a bit here, this one, as it follows the line of the carved. And the same with this over here is off your camera, but it's running down the side. So, and all it will do is, once it's dry, it will just be lighter over the top of the trees than where it was. So that absolutely needs to dry. I can't do anything else with that at the minute. I could work on this tree section. What do you guys think? It's a bit damp from where I've just sprayed though. So that's the problem. I'm so eager. I'm like, oh, let me in. Oh, I know what I didn't do. Let's pull you back. Yeah, look at that. Skilled camera, and you're bouncing all over the place. I didn't spray all this. I did all the water, but I didn't do this, and I know I need to, because I need this to really mix. And this is this green-grey. Like that. And we know we've got some in here. Like that, which is fine. Is that enough? I think so. It's running down the board, it's escaping. Do worry about how much of this down the bottom I'm getting. I need to make sure that it does get into the corners and up against the edge of this masking tape, so I don't have any issues. Right, let's leave it at that. It should be fine. How are you just escaping everywhere? Right, now I really should leave it to dry, so we will come back to it. Okay, we are back, and as you can see, I have been playing with the water, and we know there's a kind of weird basin shape here of the water where it's kind of swirling in a sort of circle before it comes down. So I really wanted to make sure I kind of got the marks in for that and make sure it kind of looked like where I wanted it to go. So now I want to get back to working on a few different things. The first one is the sky, just because at the moment the sky and the mountain is very much there and in your face, but I want to push it back so that it allows for this to come forward. And what I mean by pushing it back is, I mean making it lighter so that the higher contrast at the front, so the darker colours at the front, are going to stand out more in contrast against the back. The light levels here are changing literally every couple of seconds. The sun is like in, out, and then behind a cloud, and out and behind a cloud. So I am not going to change that. I think it's really nice to see sunshine in Scotland, so hopefully you guys agree. So I've moved everything around because I've got a house viewing tomorrow. I'm like, oh God, I need to pack all this away. The board and the easel will stay out. And basically, yeah, everything else, all my art supplies and stuff will be packed away. So I do want to work on this sky, and as per usual, I like to get my whites in. There is a little bit of grey. Problem is it's not much, and I don't want to go too harsh with it, but let's see. So there is some cloud here, and I'm going to just put in really lightly. So it kind of comes in a stripe along there. There's a little bit of light under there, and then another one here that kind of touches the top of here. Not too much. And down like that. And the same here, there's like a little one here that doesn't cover everything. So we'll do that. Pop this down. Just going to blend that a little bit with my fingers. Ideally that could be more. Would be better with some water, I think. See, it's gone dark again now. I can't keep up, you know. Hopefully the camera's showing this alright. And then same here. So what I mean when I say you put a tiny amount of pastel on, not a lot, it goes a long way. So there's the kind of darker grey in the sky, and you can see how much that is. And then what I'm going to do is, got my little spray bottle, I'm going to spray it, but I'm going to dab at it with the cloth, and that should take some of that back. Right, and then straight away, just dabbing at it, you'll see how much of that comes back off. I'm trying to be careful. The board's kind of slip sideways. I need a little bit more water, I think. Oh, it's escaping. Oh, there we go. It's a bit better. A bit more over here, so a bit more there, and a bit more there. I like the kind of texture the cloth's giving it now. Right. Is that looking a little better? I think so. So I'm just kind of rubbing, just helps. Yes, I know, the sky looks unbelievably messy now, which is fine. You will see why soon enough. Now, this mountain, this beautiful, beautiful mountain, we need to really lighten up. So, and the thing is there's a lot more kind of greens in it as well, and I don't really like putting too many greens in a mountain, especially as I've got all the gorgeous greens here, but we'll put a little bit in. So I don't want it running loads, I just want little sections of it to run in a small way, which is why I'm using a small water bottle. Just allow that a little bit of fun and a little bit of movement. See here, just ever so slightly creeping down. And this one's running along that line, it'll get to the end there, and then yeah, run down there. And then that one will run there. That's better, yeah. Bit happy with that. Right, while that's having that sort of fun, I want to get in some of the really dark green blue that is actually happening in this tree section over here. It's very much in the dark and all the light is heading this way. And we've got a lot of this gorgeous blue-green happening over here. So I'm just going to plant some of this in here. I will be going over it with some pastel pencils just to give us a bit of details, because there are some really obvious branches and sky holes that I want to put in, but it is dark at the bottom. And this is quite nice because it's a charcoal. The green's quite muted, which means it really does allow for a nice kind of fun kind of contrast going on there. I'd love to add some water, but I've got to be very careful about that running into the water here. And more like that. More of a blue-green colour in that corner. Let's see, should we add a little bit of water? See, it's not running too far. So quite like that, we'll leave that. That should be fine. It shouldn't run too far to where we want it, don't want it. Okay, so what do I want to work on next? Well, I want to come back to our rocks. And I've got a couple of different neutral colours that I want to play with. I've got a really pale neutral yellow, which there is some kind of yellowing tones in two slabs that are over here. And I think that's because it's closest to the light. And if I come that way, you'll see it's a gorgeous kind of neutral cream. So we'll put that in here. It kind of comes in there. Just cut that way and then up that way like that, because that's what it does. And then it actually has a second section there. Like that. And this one has a section that actually comes down to there. So we'll do that. Realistically, that's all the really kind of creamy, yellowy grey tones that's there. I can add a bit more in where I want it. So possibly there's a gorgeous tiny little half moon down here. Now the problem with this is I put this in, I'll probably lose it again at some point, but it's such a cute little detail. And I've got to be careful that it doesn't become too much of a detail, because the rest of the line goes that way. Also goes up to there. That kind of goes off that way. I'm just going to pick up some of the texture there. Again, we're looking for the lines that I've got for texture. Just going to blend a little bit of that in. Okay. I feel like that needs to be dealt with there. And up here, there's a lot more of this white. It's in fine lines, so I'm just letting this drag, see where it goes, and blending slightly, because you'll see less texture, less detail the further it goes, which is what we want. Again, it kind of comes in here, a lot more of the white on this side than the other. Again, a little bit here as it comes round. Can't really see it too much because of the rocks here. And again, we've got pale lines there. Right. What does that look like? Okay. Well, it's definitely looking a lot more texture, and it's certainly looking a lot more like the river. So we are absolutely going in the right direction now. We're kind of getting there. Do I want to add some water to this white? Yes, I do. Hoping that would run down this crevice here, which it is nicely. And that's running that way, but I don't want it on there. That hoping to run in there, and that to run there. Yeah, that's better. We just want some of it to run a bit more, mix with the background, because at the moment it looks a bit forced with the white. Once that's settled and dried, it will have blended slightly with the rest of it, and then when I work over the top of it again, which I will do, don't you worry, it will start to really kind of bring the different colours and textures and patterns out. So I'm going to stop there because this has become a really, really long section. My camera has magically drifted up in the up direction. So there you go. So shall I bring you in for a wee nosy? Let's bring you forward. So I'm going to take you off the stand for this bit. Right, so if I bring you straight on, there it is at the moment. So let's come in and you can see the details a bit better. So you can see there the way the pastels brought out the texture, just like if you're doing like a rubbing. So you might have done that when you were in school. You did some rubbings of either some leaves under a piece of paper and then a wax crayon, or taken a piece of paper outside and done some rubbings of the stone or bark and things like that. Well, it works the same for here as well with the texture, and that's the whole point, is that I use the texture to be able to get that beautiful patterning of the white for the water. So coming up, there's our trees, mountain and sky. There's our bluer, darker tree line on the other side and the rocks that we've been working on. And you'll notice that we have lost some of the detail here, which is what I expected, but I don't mind that. Remember, I can go back over it with the charcoal pencils. So the light's changed again, suddenly got brighter. So that's where we've got to for today. I've got a house viewing tomorrow, so I don't know when I'm going to come back to this one, but hopefully shortly. Otherwise you guys will set up a riot that you haven't seen any of my work recently. But as you can see, this is a huge piece, so it will take a bit more time, but hopefully you guys are enjoying the process and loving what's coming out of it. Right, we are back on another day. I don't know how many days now, but it's been a few. I'm just going to check this easel because it looks like it's leaning. I don't want it to fall over while we're working. What are you doing, Poppet? You are indeed. Right, that should be better. Okie dokie. Right. Are we still in camera shot? We are just. So we're just going to adjust that ever so slightly. Okay, well, there, that'll do. Right. So I'm looking at the water, and we have some darker sections where we've got the charcoal, but there's also other dark sections which are in the water. So you can see I've zoomed in on the tablet and you can see there's darker sections here, and that's all around here. So I want to get some of that in, and this is the blue, green, grey, so it is a darker colour, and it's not quite like that because if I zoom in, it's almost like a light grey purple, the colour of the water, because it's reflecting the sky. But I want to get a little bit more shading in, just bring a little bit more kind of darkness to this section, just to help kind of go, right, there is a little bit of shading in that area. It's not quite all that. Same here. Some here where the water comes over, some here where the water's coming over, and across there. And like most of these, thin lines is a really good way of just creating a little bit of that water texture, although weirdly enough most of it is like bumps like that, but that won't look very good on here, so we won't be doing that. But we know we've got the darker grey here before that kicks in, and then we know we've got some here. The cancels are ripping up the carpet while I'm not there. Good to know. Ava, what are you doing? See what I mean? She knew it was her. I knew it was her, she knew it was her. And now she's on the chair, so if the camera starts bouncing, it's the cat, isn't it? Yeah, see, she agrees. I just want to make sure I'm getting some of this in to where these crevices are, and it does help. Just kind of darken where it is, but not take it too dark, because I don't want it too dark. I want it to really show the kind of differences in the water. we know that the water here is kind of pouring over this, swirling here, but pouring over this rock here in multiple different directions. And then there's some white there, and then again, it's coming this way, like that. And the same here, just thinking, so that's that bit. And then down from that, so this bit here is like a little bit here. And I think what's happened there is that's continuation of the stone that's hiding under the water there. And I know it happens again further down here. So we just pop that in there. And there's a weird triangle bit here. I'll just pop that in. Now, it doesn't always have to completely make sense, it's just got to really fit with the painting. Oh, we're going to the bottom, I've gone to the bottom, right. So we've got the rock, and above that rock there, we've got another dark section there. So it's not soft, it's not hard either, it's kind of medium, but it's really good. It's a really gorgeous yellow. And then there's another section of that here. And lending itself into this section, coming into that darkness there. That's a nice thing about the charcoal is, yes, pastels mix, but they can come very muddy, whereas charcoal, when it mixes with pastel, because the charcoal particles are actually finer than the pastel, it creates more of a neutral colour of that colour. And I love when it does that, because it's the sort of thing that actually happens in real life. You know, where it kind of hits darker sections, as it goes into the darkness, it does become more neutral. So it's really handy. Just think there is a tiny amount of yellow here. Not much. And then there's some over this section here. But not a lot. There's none from that point on. The rest of it is all coming down this way. Happy to put all this here because I know I'm going to be putting green over top of it, so it doesn't really matter. Like that. Okay, right. We want our greens. So these are our brighter, more yellow greens. And the further away we get, the more kind of, no, that's our moss colour. I do need that though down here. It's nice to get that in there actually. Oh no, it's not our moss green. It's just it's the more yellow version. But that works for what we want to do. Keeping this slightly neutral, but also with the lighter yellow underneath, it's keeping it also much more neutral, but also warming it up as it goes further away into the distance, which sounds odd because a lot of the time you're looking for it to be looking for it to be cooler going into the distance, but that's not quite the case in this one. Now this is a green, but it's unbelievably, it's a unison green, and for whatever reason, this one is like a rock and is really gritty and really scratchy. And you have to really try and find the right side and corner of it in order to actually use it. It drives me absolutely nuts. Because all this is a lot darker. It's darker. And darker sections up here as well. You see, I'm just layering colours and layering colours, because that's what I want. I want it to really kind of stand out. This one is a lot darker back here. Like that. Yeah. Okay, right. As we come down a little bit, we've got just the touch of the rock here. As this comes in here, this plant here, remember, and that goes that way. But there's just a lot of lines doing that for this rock shape as it comes down. It does come back up here, like that. There's like a little rocky bit sticking up there. And down there, like that. And in front of that is another section. We've got a long line, and then we've got this square here, which we want to get in. And a line up there. This is kind of comes down. Like that. Into a lovely T shape, going that way, where it comes down again. Like that. I think with this, I'm just going to go just straighten that up and give us a nice edge there. That then comes down like that, like that. We haven't even got the big bit yet, which is about here-ish. I've got it here, and it kind of is, but it's also kind of not. It actually comes back a bit further, so we'll bring that back further and more angled to there. Like that. And then this rock, as usual, we had fun with this rock in the last painting, so I knew I would have fun with this one again. So we've got this bit here, and then again we curve round, we've got another bit there, which goes in there. The water's coming partly down there, partly down there, so we then cut that up that way. There's a little darker patch here, and a line, two lines in fact, going that way, like that. And we've got a nice dark patch here, comes down, goes that way. Along with this one here, which then forms a V for some reason, comes down to there. And then this comes down. This is all very dark down here as it hits this water. Right, I think it's almost dinner time for me, so I will need to stop and go get some dinner. I might do some more afterwards. See, the camera's slipped again, hasn't it? It's not pointing at all of it. But yeah, tree lines are starting to look a bit better. The charcoal lines are starting to come in a bit more now. So once I've got that detail in, I can then start picking, God, it's done dropped too far. Picking some of it out and pushing some of it back with the rest of the pastel. Are you going to sit properly? Oh, who knows. But yeah, so let me take you further back for a second so you can see it. Oh, come here, phone. Phone does not want to come out of the holder. Hey, there we go. Right. Ignore the state of my dining room. There's the phone holder, so you can see how close you are to the painting. So if I say that's where you guys are, so seeing it from a distance, it makes a huge difference. So let's bring you in. It's only when you start getting closer that you really start to see all these details up close. Right, I will probably rejoin you after dinner. All right, folks, I have absolutely no idea which day we're on now, but it is another day. I suppose if I go back through on the editing, I could probably work out and put the number down below somewhere. But we are continuing our endeavours with this. The tree line has completely dried now, and as you can see, we now have some really great depth and shading going on with the trees and with the charcoal there. So that's absolutely brilliant. Really happy with that. I love my little whirlpool, but it's almost too prominent, and I've lost some of the darkness and depth of the water because the yellow's just kind of bled out so much. So I need to get some of those golden tones back in and give that a bit more depth. I need to work over the water in this section here because it doesn't look like it's gone over the rock. It just looks a bit weird, so I need to work on that. I still need to finish working on the trees. There are some sections up here, for example, that are a little patchy because of the heavy texture in that section, and I just need to kind of go over it and really work the pastel into the texture to kind of get that blended back in. And then at some point, I need to start darkening and then adding highlights to our rocks here, sorting out our rocks over here, and sorting out the vegetation here, which has got going to have a lot more detail than back here. I also need to put in things like some of the trees and some of the particle density in the tree line here, just because, as I said before, the closer to the foreground, the more detailed it becomes, and I want to be able to create that middle ground at this point with this trees, not this one because that's further back. This one's slightly further forward, so I want that one to have some detail. That one I will put a tiny amount in, but not much. I quite like it as it is. That one I need to put some branches in and some patterning into the background with the charcoal, just to kind of give it a bit more depth and shape. I also need to put sky holes in up here in the top section, and then obviously start grounding in some of the layering for the greens and all the vegetation here. But obviously the rocks are kind of key as well. And whilst I've been putting in the charcoal lines, it kind of makes it very cartoonish. So I then need to start pushing it back and adding the layered colours over the top so that we lose some of the lines and we keep some of the lines, and that just helps bring it together. I have almost no voice whatsoever, as you can hear, pretty much down to nothing. I'm really struggling with my breathing, so I probably won't be doing a lot of commentary on this section just because it's just not going to be possible for me today. But don't worry, I'm going to do an hour on this and then a little bit more later. It is really dark outside. It's supposed to be torrential rain for most of the day. It rained briefly this morning and then hasn't rained since. So I have no idea what's going on, but it is very overcast and therefore really dark in here. So I have my desk lamp clipped. Well, it's not a desk lamp, but it's my working lamp for moving around when I'm doing sketchbook stuff. And it's clipped up there, so just adding additional light to this section, which is the darker section because it's further into the room, unlike this lot, which is next to my window. That's the problem with getting bigger pieces of paper, is you need a bigger board and so on. I've actually ordered paper. Why is it now? I've completely forgotten the name of the paper. Yeah, I can't remember it, but it is 70 centimeters by 100 centimeters. This piece is 50 by 70. So the 70, so the width of this will be the short edge, and the 100 will be twice that. So it is quarter of the size bigger, I think, just over quarter of a size bigger than this one. So that's going to be interesting. I wanted to work on a bigger sheet, and that's what I'm going to get. At some point, I'm going to get a roll, and I'm absolutely determined to do a piece as big as the actual board that's on my easel. Now, you've seen the board. Whenever I take a step back and you can see it, you can see the size of the board. This board is huge. So yeah, let's see what happens with that in the future. But in the meantime, I am going to crash out of the voiceover, and I will just continue without voice so that I actually have a voice later, because at the moment I have like the zero voice. So let's crack on. I'm working on the rocks at the moment, so I want to continue working on the rocks. I'm going to bring the tablet with me. It's just easier for me in my eyesight because I can zoom right in to what I want to look at. And I know, for example, I've already done some of these sections, and I know that that kind of comes down like that in front of that one. So Mr. Big Shot and his pickup truck, who likes to park in front of our house and really annoy me, unfortunately can't start his pickup. He dumped it there this morning, disappeared off, and now the thing won't start. It's double yellow lines outside our house, which for the Americans, most of you should know what that means, but if you don't, it basically means no parking where double yellows are. And that's in order to keep places free and to keep also for safety, because we are pretty much right up against a four-way junction, hence the reason there is double yellows. But people seem to think that they are all exceptions to the law, and unfortunately, as a sight impaired person, if I go out with my cane, he pretty much parks on the edge of the pavement, so it becomes, the pavement's like really narrow. It's not even 4 foot, it's I think 2.5 feet, almost 3 feet, so it's not very wide. So it does cause me quite a problem when he does park that close. Not to mention, we don't get a lot of light downstairs in our downstairs rooms because he blocks the light when he parks directly outside the window. He's a bit further up this morning, closer to the junction, which is actually more of a safety concern, but it's one of those things. Right, how's that looking? That's definitely looking a lot better. It's a lot more kind of carved out. You can see a lot more of the detail there, which I really like. I need to sharpen the pencil because we're pretty much down to a stub there. Give me a pencil. Oh, I've got my extender. I could use my extender, but I don't need it quite yet. That'll do. It is a soft charcoal pencil, so like pastel pencils, when you're sharpening, it can break really easily. So I always have to be really careful when I'm sharpening this one. And all these lines, but I want to straighten that out. Like that, that's better. That is what I would say is definitely a lot better there. I think I need to go back up to where the whirlpool section is though, and just make sure, because there's some interesting cuttings and things like here at the edge here where this comes in. We've got a dark section here, a little bit there, another little bit there. Just making sure I'm getting these lines right as it goes up to there. There's a little triangle here joining to this bit, and then there's a longer triangle here, like that. And up here, this all joins to this section here. That's a bit better. Do need to get more of the colours in, and then that will help. There is a, in fact I'll do the colour now, seeing as I'm here. Let's find the colours. What are we looking for? We're looking for our gold. This is our gold here. So there's a tiny splash of this here. Continues up there, along this shelf here. Like that. Again, there's another bit of it further up here, just here. So what I haven't done is the lighter one. I'll just pop that in as a mid colour for the minute, so I can use a lighter colour to go over it and really pick up the highlights. That one kind of comes out there, and indeed it does come out onto the rock there, like that. Some of that here, which we'll get in, and also some on top of this as well. So yeah, that works a bit better. Right, let's blend that. Yes, doesn't that look totally and utterly like a mess? That's what I would think too. Right. Oh, stiff. Right. I think I need to bring some of this bit further down. It's gone too much of an angle. I've lost the perspective slightly. Whoa. Right, let's dab. There'll be a lot of the charcoal will blend that out. Right. By a fair bit, by the looks of that. But it's always darker before it dries. Charcoal dust. And don't worry, for those worrying about it and those that have not seen me before, I have a extract system in here with a double HEPA filter system, just to keep the particles out of the air. How is that looking now? Yeah, it's kind of looking better. I feel like I'm missing some of the bluer tones in the water, and I know why. I'm just not sure I really want to, because I can put it in. I don't know, I always feel a bit awkward when I put blue in for water and people are like, but isn't it blue? And it's correct, it is not. It's not blue. Ah yes, we've got the water that's here, haven't we? Better? What do you think? Sort of. Still not 100% on this section, so I need to figure what I want to do with it. Also, that's a bit better. Oh yeah, there's water here. Like that. That's a bit better. Right, I need all of that to dry before I can continue, so I am going to take a tea break and then we will come back to it. Okay, same day, we're back again, just everything's dried. You can see we've got our kind of blended kind of area there, which kind of showcases the lights and darks of the trees there. I still need to work on that bit there, which is driving me nuts, and twigs and things, so I'm going to do that first and work on this background, because then at that point I can just ignore it. I can ignore the tree line completely, which is what I want, so I can then focus on the rocks, because we are getting closer and closer to this getting finished, which is what we want. I need to play with foreground and background. The problem with the video is that it's very sunlit, so there isn't a lot of there's not a lot of difference between the foreground and background because of the way the sun is, and that's fine, but at the same time it can make it look a bit flat. So I want it really bright in the distance and a bit darker in the bottom, so I think I'm probably going to be working on that a bit more. Got a lot of cars making slamming door noises and stuff behind me, so I'll be quite nosy and just see what's going on. Tis fine, tis the postman. He always parks directly below me, so that's fine. Right, tree line. What do I want to work on first? In fact, actually, what I want to do is get some of the branches and the darker sections in first. I don't want to use black, but I have a couple of different dark greys. I'll find one of them. The problem is I have loads of greys and then I have loads of dark greys and then I can never find what I'm looking for, because it's a very specific dark grey I'm looking for. I can't remember which one of my two pots to put it in. Nope, not you. Nope. Now the paintbrushes are trying to jump out. Can you get in there? I reckon it was in. I swear I saw it in here. Oh, I've just found my other charcoal. No, I haven't, but it is the grey I'm looking for, which is good. Yeah. So I'm going to sharpen it slightly. Could do with sharpening a bit more. So this is a Conti pastel pencil, so that's it there that you guys can see. And this is a really dark brown grey, which is why I like it, because it's got browns and greys in it. So it's a really nice kind of neutral colour, but it's not too dark. And being a Conte, it is a hard pastel pencil, still softer than a pencil, and there's no wax. So it makes it really good for that sort of thing. So first things first is tree line on this side. And I also need, try to find, can the cream do it? I'll try the cream. That might do it, but I think actually I'll probably prefer the light grey for bringing the sky holes back in. So I'll sharpen that one as well. This is the Carbofello pastel pencil, and I'm not sure how well this will sharpen. These have a habit of breaking really easily, so I'm always have to be really gentle with them. Right, let's have a quick nosy. Bring tablet with me. So the tree section here, these have got some really nice obvious tree sections in them. I can blend blend this into our charcoal line at the bottom. I'm just scratching out some lines. It won't matter too much, because like I said, I'll be putting pastel over it. But the idea being that I can kind of blend and come and go as I please. Ideally on this, we just want some nice faint lines. I'm also going to fill in some of this gappage. So you can see there, I've just really delicately gone in on the trees and just created that beautiful texture. Shall I move you guys closer? Will that help? That's a good question, I suppose. Let's put you closer to the action, shall we? Check on this leg. Yes, it's still straight. Perfect. Round the table. Okay, right, let's put you into a better position so that you're not directly in my way. So I'm going to put you side on to this tree line that I'm working on. There it is. Right, you can see that's the edge of the paper there, and that's where we're working at the moment. Right, pick this back up. Okay, right, so we've done this one, which is this one. And I can see we've got the lighter colour here, but there's definitely a lot more green in the top. So I'm going to get a bit of this one. No, I think I need to go a little bit more. Well, actually, I don't know. I think we'll get away with it, actually. Yeah, we'll get away with it. I'll just give that some colour there. I might need to go a little bit lighter, and I know where I've put that down here. Here, yeah. Which is this one, which is the Rembrandt one. I don't want to go like too light, like in your face light. I do want to make sure I'm getting some of it here as that comes down. How's that? That's looking a bit better. I need to step back so I can see. Yeah, I think so. Okay, right. This is where it starts kind of heading into the realms of muted colours when I get to this point. I've also got to remember I've got my Conti here as well. And the yellow, the muted gold, but I don't think I want that. What have I done with the moss colour? Honest to God, I put pastels down and then that's it. I think that's it there. So that is it. Not that one. I don't know what I've done with the colour. I've lost the moss colour, which isn't a good thing. I kind of need that. It's not this one because this is my gold. Honestly, I put things down and then that's it, gone. My head's going, God, what have you done with it now? It's not that one. Hasn't fallen off the tin, hasn't fallen under the tin. I actually don't know what I've done with it. How have I lost it? Honestly, what am I like? Well, I don't need it for the minute. So we can continue with the next tree. Now the next tree doesn't really have much. It isn't very dark. It's actually quite, I actually think there's two. I think there's one here. And the reason we've got a dark section here is because actually there's another tree in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over this. I'm also going to blend that out with this. It's going to come right over the top of that, there. Which still looks dark, but don't panic, it won't look as dark once I start getting the green on it. And then down from that we've got a piece here sticking up. And then another one here. So this is where the dark sections are here at the bottom. And it kind of comes down. This actually has a branch coming out, so we'll make good use of that in a minute. No, you're a bright colour, aren't you? You're more yellow. Don't want you. No, not in there. Right, let me just work through with the colours I've got down here. Right, so we've got this one. Which is that one? We've got this one, which is on this colour. I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. I feel like I'm going mad half the time. Anyway, while we've got it in our hand, we will make use of it. It's got quite a covering here. It comes down. And bear in mind that that branch comes out to meet it, so that's fine. Then we've got a lighter colour over the top, which we're going to use our lighter colour from here. Only because we've got a couple of bits that are just a bit more green. Quite a bit of it's actually down here. Like that. Oh yes, and of course at the top. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking something else I wanted to look at. What's it up here? But we also want to push that back, so I'm going to blend it slightly. And then lighten it with this one. Just give it a little bit more green. Yeah, it's too much. I think I need to go the other way and lighten it. That's too... Did that work? I don't think so. That might though. Yeah. some little bits of this kind of colour up here. Not much, just enough. Yeah. And also a little bit of it down here. Trees. Trees are always an absolute nightmare and I bloody hate them sometimes. Just because they can be so stupidly complicated when you don't want them to be. What colour is that? Ooh, that's very, very green. It's probably closer to what we were looking for, maybe. Let's see. Oh, that's lightened that. Yes, that's better. That has lightened that significantly. And the dark splodge that was there, not quite so obvious now. Don't want to bring that down anywhere, not really. Probably to here, with this branch that comes out down here. Where does it go? It actually goes up quite far, up this way. So we'll do that. And yes, there's another tree in the background. So another lighter coloured tree in the background there. Windows vibrating. I'm thinking, what the hell's that? And weirdly enough, I believe this is a similar colour to that plant on the rock. The undercolour before it goes very yellow. So actually, while we're here, we can just add that in. Where's that going then? A bit of it goes down that way. And then a bigger sprig of it kind of comes this way. Like that. You guys can just about see that going on. It helps immensely. I'm just going to take you this around here. Right, so we've got a lighter tree here. Just trying to see whether I want to keep that more blue. I do want to keep that more blue and more distant. I'll find something that's somewhere in between the two. And then, yeah, that'll do. Because then I can layer the blue over the top. What, the blue? The lighter green over the top. Same with that one. That's more round. This one's more kind of scraggly. Just blend that slightly. Same with that. And then we get up here, blue-green. Go over the top. Now I want to get some of this other green up and over the top of it. So I can do this with this one. That should just help kind of blend that in a wee bit more. Where am I going with this tree? Because it does actually come up and come back down again, so it's there. Yeah, just making sure I'm going in the right direction. It gets very dark there, so we'll just we've got a nice darker version of that. I have lots of different greens. Another one I'm actually looking for. I do have this one. I haven't really used it on this side, but here's the thing, I probably might have to. Yeah. Yeah, this side is a lot darker than that side. Kind of look right? It kind of looks right. I need to get rid of more of this though. Actually, there's less of that showing through. And what I want to do, pop that there, grab my cloth, pick up my pencil, and just bring some of that darkness down. Actually, it's darker here. And I need to bring that down, this down all the way. So let's use our more muted colour a minute. Because there is some of that going on. And bring that all the way down here. And then just slightly scuff that over the top. Right, let's put the white down. Just want to dot that lot. And then, what have we got in my hand? We've got both pencils. We'll do the Conte. Kind of see where that's going now. we're just getting some little pencil marks in. It's just helping form those trees a bit better. I'm just going to check and stand back and see. And yeah, we've definitely got more of those shapes in. What I'm going to just bring this out a little bit and just like that. Oh, that's considerably better than where we were before. So yeah, this actually comes almost all the way down. So I'm just gonna bring some of that down, I think. Okay, heading into the next tree, a lot more of the dark green. Okay, there it is. On this side here. It's generally just a lot darker, this one. Sorry, I know, just hit the camera twice. It's not intentional. And I'm just going to sharpen this pencil while I've got the opportunity. Let's see. I know. Looking out, thinking, sure there's a dark patch over there somewhere. There is. It's just here. How's that looking? It's probably not making much sense to you guys, but when I step back it is making sense to me, but I also just realised that I've just put too much over the top of this section here. I need to bring that back. That's a bit better. And then it's at the bottom here. I need to start working back into this, but we'll start with here. We'll start the underside here first, because I really need that to be dark enough to hold it. This is kind of flattened. I just want to make sure. Yeah, that goes that way. And this section here. What's that there? And this basically carries on all the way. Up to here. And then it's very, very dark here. Oh, sorry. How's that looking? That's better. I want to add a little bit of the dark green down the bottom here, just to kind of help blend this out a wee bit, so it's not too much in your face dark, like that. All right. Woohoo! Right, grass, plants are done. Shall I show you guys it from the distance? I think so. Right, so obviously you can see the section's been working on here today. If I come a bit further out, you can see it a lot better. And if I come further out, you can get more of an idea of how it's looking. Ignoring my messy dining room. It's really hard to get the angle right on this camera. There's like a balance before it starts becoming fish-eyed. But there you go. And on to the rocks. I'm wondering if I add in some of the warm grey, or this is the thing, this is where it starts to annoy me. I'm like, oh, I know what I want to do, I know what I want to sort of achieve. My worry is I'm not really getting it because of the way the colours are. See, that's the warmer one over the top, and it's also lighter. It might work a little better. I just don't know how much better. Yeah, it's gone almost cartoony really. I don't like that. Got some of this dark green. This is a lot darker here. This bit here going up. Well, now it just looks weird. I think this will help coming around here. Just want to get some of that in there. Okay, well now it's just really dark. So, not really sure I actually achieved anything there. Step back far. If I step back far enough, maybe it'll resolve itself. And maybe not. Just think that blue-green is just, it's too blue-green. And the problem is I don't really want to then go in with another colour that's gonna just warm it slightly too much. like that. Because realistically, there's none of that on those trees at all. It's more kind of like a silver green. I don't really have that, do I? Because I've got this one, which is our neutral. Although maybe the neutral will work actually. So this is a neutral grey, but it has a fair amount of, well, not a fair amount, but it has some green in it, and definitely more of the kind of blue tone green. Maybe this is what I need. Maybe that'll work better. Let's have a look. Oh, I think the answer to that was yes. I just needed to go for a slightly more silvery tone. Now, have I got another grey that I can use that's more on that side? I don't know is the answer. Because I think that's what the problem is I can't push it back enough because I can't lighten it. Let me go hunt through my tray and see if I've got a grey green that's on the really light side, or a blue toned grey actually would also work, and we'll see whether or not we can get that working. Righty-ho, so I've got a couple of different colours. They are in the blues, as you can see. This one's got a little bit of green in it, and I'm thinking that might work better, but I also have a grey blue, so this is a very pale blue, green, white, and then this is more of a grey blue. So I'm going to stick them there. I want to try the one that's just slightly darker first, so this one, which is a blue. I love this colour. Gives a great kind of muted blue tone. Might actually get some of this into the water actually. One thing at a time. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Right, anyway, I'm getting severely distracted. Where are we, trees? Right, so we know that this section of trees is... Oh, don't knock things over. I just want to pick up the kind of greeny silveriness of some of this, and I'm gonna blend it slightly because obviously otherwise it's very blue, which is exactly what we don't want. Those are just sky holes, so just ignore me. I just wanted to put some of those back in. They're kind of falling out a wee bit. That's better. Right, let's go back to just getting some of this in. And yeah, where I'm starting to mix it with the green and the grey underneath, it's producing this gorgeous kind of silvery grey tone, which actually is significantly better. Oh, too much. So we can push this back, I think, by doing this, and that should help push this wee island back a little bit from there. I mean, the other way I could push it back a bit more is bring the water level up a wee bit, but However, these two bits here and here are actually at the same length, the same level. It's just that this continues forward and this doesn't. Right, how's that looking? Is that looking a little better? It is, and it isn't. I think it's because some of this comes right the way down here. I need to really make sure I get that in. Down here. Is that better? I think it is a wee bit better. I think it is definitely pushed back anyway. If I stand back here, all the way back here, ignoring the motorcycles, it's a little bit paler than the tree banking on the other side. It still annoys me that one side is very green and the other side is not. Why? Why? I feel like I need a little bit more green in some of these trees. Like I'm losing how green these are. Because they are green, more than yellow. I think I just need to bring some of that back. Like that. Is that a bit better? Less yellow, more green. Yeah. And then this actually continues out from there to there, like that. It actually comes quite a long way out and then round. And then it comes up slightly where it's got like a bit there. Oh yeah, all of that's dark, so I need to, that's another rock there, because that comes around and then all this is in the dark. I've got a little line here. Weird noises. And then you want because that's actually a shelf there, isn't it? Yeah, there's a shelf there. And then this rock actually comes out almost diagonally here, like that. It's got this little mark there, and this cuts down to here, comes up, forms a little shelf, and then you've got this really nice jaggedy shape. So you've got this curve, and another curve, and then down. As that comes in, it comes in like that, and it actually forms that shape there. This is how we start getting our little shelves, little drops, little cuts, just by doing this bit by bit. like that. Yeah, that's starting to look a lot better now, isn't it? Like the upper section's like, oh yeah, that's starting to look like kind of it's rocky and rapidy and stuff. Right, from here, this one here, obviously we've done that and it comes that way. And this is all in the dark here as it comes up and over. Just get in there. And then you come down, don't you? You make this weird rock face here. So I'm going to use my finger just to push that in so we've got that dark patch there. The same there. Right. So there's the next set of shelves working for us there. This does actually continue, this line. And there's a kind of basinish shape here. That forms a line. And it does just continue that way. Like that. All the way to the end. Right, that was actually 10 minutes more, but I absolutely need some food. So I am going to go have some lunch. I will remove this video off my phone and then we will continue. I mean, we're almost there anyway, because the rocks are the last thing I'm working on. So we're almost finished. Right, this comes down. Well, only I've put it out, but it's because of this bit here, which kind of needs to come in a bit more to there. And then out to there. Which is a little harder to do when you've got all this texture in the way. And we've got the dark section here. Little bits in there. Dark section here. Like that. This is white, so I need to put some of that in. Let me put some of this in, the green in first maybe. Where am I? Here. Because it is running over this rock really fast. So we want that to kind of show there before it comes back round here. Like that. Yeah. Like that. Oh yeah, there's actually some water, there's some lighter bits here. I know I'm getting distracted again by the water. I keep doing that. I know I keep doing that. Back to the pencil. Ooh, I've lost some of my rocks, haven't I? I have. Just some here I need to kind of get in. It's obviously this line here. Right, I need to stop playing with that. Let's get back to the rocks. So we know this comes down here like that. It's got quite some interesting shapes on the front of that. And then we've got well, I know this is not exact because I've completely misplaced all of this section here, because in theory that would be there, but that's fine, because actually what I could do is I can use this to keep that going out like that. That's got another little crevice here coming that way, and then as it kicks out again here, it's actually split in two. So there's a lower section which actually comes, yeah, this comes all the way along and actually comes down to the, down, well, actually down to here before we've got this, and that actually needs to right, this is where there's like 1,000,001 different things going on here, isn't there? I'm also looking for whether there's any red in the shadows and things as well. Where's our, there. Bit of red here, and this block here. No, it's mostly the weird pink. And obviously, the problem with getting it on my fingers and then getting it on the tablet is I can get it on the tablet, and then I'm thinking, oh, there's red there, and actually there's not red there, it's just that my red fingers have touched the tablet. Right, let us find the pink. I'll wipe my fingers a minute. That's not as much red as I thought I was going to put in. I might have to think about where else I might be putting it. Right, I'll find all the colours that I was using, like this one, which is the kind of peachy brown. In fact, there's a really nice slice of it here, going that way, like that, just like that. There's little hints of it on this, but not enough that I want to put it in. Same with this stone here. And there's a little bit of it here. And also, indeed, a little bit there. I know there's some on this one because I've already looked at it. And there's some at the end of this one. And a little bit on this one. These down here. And then we've got something, we've got some here on this section. And this one kind of goes that way. At the same time also goes that way along with these. And this is where I get to play and just go, right, just adding this in regardless. Yeah, that's stone there as it goes up, and then that section there. Right, let's leave that for the pink for the minute. Right, and I'm looking for one of the greys. That's not a grey, that's a purple. That's a grey. Are you a grey? Kind of. You're like a pink grey? I think that's probably the best I can refer to it as. We've got some gorgeous sections of this colour up here. Just picking out the lighter bits. Oh, that's looking a bit better. These are all these lines, there's loads of them. Well, this isn't our lightest colour yet. We've got more to come. We're just working through the different kind of shades, angles. Remember, I was scraping this with pastel, trying to keep the same direction as the stones. All these lines coming in there. We've got some bits and we've got some fainter bits which I'll put in like that. Okay. Kind of getting there. Now I've got the lighter colour that I'm looking for. I brought some pastels out, didn't I? Yeah, I've got the light yellow brown colour I brought with me, which is this one. This is the cream. This will just help pick out some of the really yellow, kind of brighter sections that I want. Where this bit is, and the brighter section here. There's not always brighter sections at the front, so I'm having to play devil's advocate here on where I want to try and put some of it without kind of losing a sense of where certain things are, like the light, for example, which we know is coming that way. all of this here is really light. And the flat top on this, weirdly enough, is also really light here. So we're just going over that. Make sure we get that in. And the same here, although only this bit and the end of that is actually in the light. And this bit's not really that much different. This bit is though. A lot of lighter sections up towards the plants. And also a lot of weird speckling going on. And then again, that's closer to the shadow, so this section here will be wet. We'll be picking up the light, and the same here on that side. The water's going over that, so I'll just make sure that we get that in. That rock there. Now I'm just picking up the texture, because I want to bring that back in. I'm just allowing the pastel to go where it wants, where it picks up the texture. That helps with the rocks. Yeah, that's looking significantly better there. Let's just stand back. Yeah, I think I need to find it's up here somewhere, my blue-grey, and just give us back a little bit of darkness in some of these areas. And it's not so much darker, it's going to give us just a little bit of coolness close to where some of these shadows are. Especially these stones here. This bit here, there's like a dark triangular section, which will just pop in there like that. It's a bit better. Yeah, I don't want too much dark. Not a lot of dark going down to there. As that goes, kind of disappears into the water. And again, that bit's just coming out of the shadow there, so we'll just pop that in there. Same there. Is that a bit better? Yeah, lots and lots of colour. Okay, do I want to do any more is the question. I think the answer is no, because otherwise I am literally just going to keep going and going and going and not really achieve anything, if you know what I mean. Like, I risk making it too muddy. Pencil. It's not really, I don't think this is really sharp enough. Just wanted to sharpen a line there. This is the problem, is when I start losing some lines, it becomes really difficult to pull some stuff back and some not. Kind of dependent on a lot of the pastel. Obviously, I've got a lot of pastel down, so but just having some sharper lines in there will make a huge difference to what we're looking at. I'll make that a bit darker. Oh, that's a bit better. I think it just needed the extra lines. These were still a little kind of cutting things off, and I think that was just too much. Yeah, if I bring this up that way ever so slightly, it should soften that angle. Yes, it did. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. Right. I am going to tidy up, and then we will do the best part of working on any painting, and that is taking the tape off, because just having that tiny little white border around it will make a huge difference, and you get a lot of ASMR out of that. So I am going to stop the camera here, and then when you see it again, I'll bring it further back so you guys can get a proper look at what I'm doing as I take the tape off, and the big reveal, obviously. Alrighty then, this is the ASMR part, and that is taking the tape off so that we can see the final painting. So we'll get started as usual. I was going to use my heat gun, but I'm not going to with this one. It's had a lot of water, so it shouldn't be too sticky. As usual, I'll start on the side. So I've got this side first. You can find the end of it. Nope. I don't want that bit, I want just this bit. Fine, I'll do it from the corner. Here we go. Am I on a wonk? I don't think the board's on a wonk. I always love it when I do this because I get such a beautiful crisp edge. Just like that. I'm gonna do that and make sure we keep these corners down. Ow, kick the stand and it hurts. I have no idea why I keep doing that, but it does hurt. Alright. How better? Sort of, you guys can't see. That's a bit better. Right, so that's that side, let's do this side. That gorgeous edge. Right, so I want it to come off from here. And keep that stuck down there. Perfect. Well, that's two edges. Should we do the top one next? We'll do the top one next. And that way I won't get dust too far down. It is ripping the paper ever so slightly, mostly because there probably wasn't a lot of water on the top section, which makes sense really. Right. I'll stick you back down because you've got a wander. We don't want that. And now the bottom one. Just make sure that's stuck down. Yeah, it's ripping slightly. Take it from this side and rejoin it in the middle. I just want to make sure I've got enough pressure on the top that it peels this top section off. Come on. Wait, right. And there we have it, folks. One river piece. Ta-da! Now I'm going to take you in for a closer final look so you guys can see. Here is our beautiful painting. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. I know these are quite long because of the content and how long it takes to make these, but hopefully they're worth it for you guys as well. So ta-ta for now, and I will see you all soon for another one.